He cannot hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. No, I'm talking. Yes. All right. Let's try. Let's try. King Maponga, can you hear me? Wonderful.
Yes,
Can you
madam.
say something to the audience?
Hello, greetings one, greetings, hello one, hello all. Hello, am I audible?
It's impossible.
Testing one, two.
All right. All right, my king. If you are clear and I hear the audience totally understand you, then I think we just have to go with the conversation for today. I cannot hear you, but if you can hear me, I think everything is good and fine. And I want to thank all of you that are actually waiting here. It's just crazy. We don't know what is going on. I think it's on my side, so I don't know because in the city everything is very very okay. So my king, can you go ahead? Where have you been all this while? Where have you been?
I've never left the continent. I am still right here on the continent of this beautiful land of Africa, traveling the width and breadth of this continent and interacting with beautiful people, interacting with the land, interacting with the forests, with the mountains, and the rivers and the lakes, from the caves, from Tanzania to Uganda to Zambia to South Africa to Zimbabwe, Namibia, and I am planning even to get to Burkina Faso, Gambia, and other places up there, hopefully before the end of the year. But it has been a very, very beautiful, beautiful year. And I thank you. Welcome back to your station. You've been missing in action. And I'm glad also to see you, and greetings to you and all your listeners around the world. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I really just cannot hear you. I just don't know what's happening. But I'm happy that everyone is hearing us. Just me and you. I don't hear you, but you hear me. So I'm very, very happy for having you live with us today. I think we're really to repeat this conversation again on Saturday, but we are going to stick in today with what have you been doing in the caves? The topic is, everything we want to know about King Maponga J, who is live in studio with us today. So, my king, can you go on? What have you been
Um,
doing?
the the concept of going back to the caves is coming from preempting to live a minimalistic life. I've been out of Africa for I was out for some time and some years, and not only was I in Africa and out of Africa, but I was also away from the soil itself. You know, I'd lost touch with the ground, the wild fruits that are in the bushes there, you know, swimming in the rivers, walking up into the caves, you know, just recalibrating my palette, my eyes, and uh, trying also to recreate in myself a feeling that we can live with quite a little. I think all of us in our modernity, we have two, three wardrobes that are full of shoes and clothes. We have houses that are full of gadgets and machines, cars. We have fridges that are full of food. We have inboxes that are full of messages. We have WhatsApp that are full of unread messages and everything else. And I felt I was being swallowed up into metrics. So I thought I would take some time out and detox myself, switch off some gadgets, take off some clothes, take off some shoes, you know, drink water from fountains, relearn some of the wild fruits that are out there. In some cases, I even went with some tour guides who would then reorient me to the trees and the herbs, and you know, listen to the birds that are singing, that are telling us there is honey over there, and the smell the dust, smell the mud, and smell the caves. And the caves for me are very, very important because it is in these caves that our ancient kings used to be buried in. And not just they were the sepulchres of royal burials, but a king would be buried with big clay pots that are full of traditional brews and beers, pots that are full of seeds, pots that are full of other herbs, you know, weapons were also buried together with the king, instruments for harvesting and instruments for war, shields, and everything else. And in case the whole generation was wiped off and people wanted to find out what history looked like, then the caves for me resemble that place, a library of information. Even in the case where there was drought and all the seeds and crops were bent and there was nothing left, they were baked in the heat, or there was no rain and the people lose all their seeds, then they would come back to the caves and make ceremonies and ask to have access to those seeds again. Then they can take those seeds and go and plant. The technologies of writing, technologies of forging weapons and etc., shields and spears and knives. So the king's place of residence and final resting place was a cave. And so I would visit these caves, as it were, just to refresh my memory, learn, as it were, you know, collect some data, learn the histories and the uses of these mountains in times of war and in times of rituals and sicknesses. People will be brought up to these mountains and healings will take place. So it's a beautiful part of our history that when white people go to the mountains, they are called archaeologists. Archaeologists, they are historians. They're studying, you know, they are doing ancient studies. When an African goes to the caves, he is being demonic and etc. So, man, I have lived long enough to be mocked and ridiculed. I am no longer worried about that. I will live my life. I will walk the land. I will interact with as many sources of knowledge and information as possible. And I looked in the mirror the other day and I asked the mirror, "Who are you?" And they also asked me, "Who are you?" And I said, "I have lots of things that I want to teach you." The mirror also said, "I have lots of things that I want to teach you." So me and that guy in the mirror, we have a contract now that they will take me through a spiritual journey, as I also in the physical body, I'm able also to take them places where they can physically experience various elements. Yeah, so the caves were quite important as a place of re-earthing, relearning, and collecting the ancient, beautiful stories that these caves are hibernating. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I had to follow the conversation through my phone to be able to understand and to hear you because right in the studio is impossible for whatever reason. But yes, I would like to show our audience some of the pictures so that they have a little bit of understanding what you went through or all the research that you were doing. But one thing that is very important, my king, that you've been saying is like, when the white people come and they go to our mountains, to our caves, waters, go even to the graves of our ancestors. We call them archaeologists, historians, we call them researchers. But when an African does that, I could imagine I followed you on this journey and I saw when you posted, the kind of comments that Africans were, responding to that. But 90%, 90% of those comments were positive because each post or each picture that you posted, I mean, we had about 10,000 case at the same time, 100,000. So it actually meant regardless of the negativity, and this is actually the price that you're paying to be able to cut us across, from light into darkness, where we have to recreate ourselves, not the other way around. So I would just beg the audience to look at some of the pictures that are loaded here. And so this is King himself, you know in all beauty and in all neatness and in all fashion, like he says it himself. Um,
And I want to say
his
something.
own clothes are made by himself. His jewelries are made by himself. Like actually, the African that is unapologetically himself. So we have that, mingling around the trees and the plants and gathering actually the natural energy that we could see. And then we have this one again. Actually, this is the one that you see, like he was explaining, that he had to deep himself, into creation again to be able to feel the spirit. Because as you know, as Mother Earth that we are, and Mother Nature and Mother Creation, everything speaks and talks and walks and exists. There is nothing that doesn't exist. The caves, the leaf, that's a space of living. Like you said, in ancient times, that's where wars or even rituals or birth or ceremonies or libations were. But because of the modern society that push us out of our normal habitation, you can wonder why we are all choked up. So going into these natural spaces and reconnecting with the powers that be, and talking and hearing and drinking from these fresh rivers and waters, I think it can only be rejuvenating. Then we have this other one again, this other image, as he walks, trying to discover the different types of plants and herbs that we could actually, like we're talking about pharmaceutical or herbs or traditional herbs and treatments and stuff like that. I mean, these are just a part of them, but we have a whole album that we will still sit here and digest with you guys. At times goes on. Yeah. So this one, and then as he walks into, we have this one again. I think I just showed you this one. And this, I really loved this one. And this one, I mean, from when you posted on Farmers of Thought, the idea of being under this rock, very massive rock, and to be able to discover that thousands and thousands of people could fill into this rock, during times of war or during times of drought, and to be able, to get shelter, not just shelter, protection from this rock, only gives us the idea of today's knowledge. Because when people would do this and come and put it in the book, most of us would begin to actually run on them. But that's not the case as we see now. So yes, and I move on again. We had this one when you went on the journey and you were coming back with the elders also saying a lot more. And also this one is quite interesting. When you went into the tree, you understand, like in the middle of in between, like the eyes, it's like I'm listening to something, or I'm anticipating, I'm waiting for downloads, I'm waiting to hear the sign of something. Most of us that know what nature is understand this is not just a tree like we see. Take down all the trees, take away all the rivers, take away all the mountains, take away all the stones, we cease to exist in the next hour. So every other thing is just like part of it. And so, my king, I just had to share some of these images so that when you go deep into the studies tonight and you're hearing what we are experiencing here, it is the biggest ever revolution that has ever happened in this format in time immemorial. And I think constructing this journey back to where we come from as humans and as origins and as creators of traditions and civilizations. It's, I don't know whoever would ever think in his normal senses to have done such a project, or to have connected as you're doing to bring us all these wonderful and beautiful images. So I really want to thank you. Yeah, I'll get back to you in studio now. um, Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my king. Thank you. Thank you. We bless you so much. And yeah, so like I showed the images and you see yourself in it. Like, just tell us, like you're now having the conversation. We are the people in the mirror, mirroring you and you mirroring us. Like, do you feel when you came back into civilization, didn't you just feel like I want to run and go back?
Yeah, the first picture that you put up, the first picture that you put up there with me in a leather waistcoat. I designed that suit as I call it the division of Africa. I had all these beautiful, expensive pieces of furniture, pieces of leather that were lying around, and I decided to join the pieces of leather to make that particular dress, which I call the scramble of Africa or the division of Africa. So as you can look at the first picture that you put there, it
I think you're hanging. Right. I don't know. It's a blessing today. It's a wonder that we're experiencing right now. Even you not being able to see my image as beautiful it is, it's okay. Um, but we are going to carry on this conversation again. We're actually going to do it, and nothing is going to stop us. The energy that we have here, and now we are seeing things clean and clear. That is not just as we think. It's not just as easy, as simple as we think. That we're fighting really some terrible kind of fight that is even undescribable. So please, I would love to stop the conversation for today. Of course, we had an overview, and I don't think tomorrow, because tomorrow I think we're going to redo this program again. Definitely on Saturday, the King will be live again. You see, he keeps either he's kicked out of the studio or I am kicked out for whatever reason. But the show has to go on. Yes. Um, I know. I can see it from here, Masha. I see everything from here. Even though everything looks so terrible out there, from the studio, everything works perfectly here with us. So, yeah, it's okay. I want to thank you. I'm going to stop this live because this is not us. This is something else. This is shadows, and these are frames that are trying to actually hijack even our images, our voices, and stuff like that. And this is not acceptable. So we're going to consult the gods again, and we're going to come back powerfully. But the king is down, and I just want to bring him once again to just touch base with you again. Over to you. Go ahead, King
Yes,
Maponga.
yes, and I think going out into the forest, as I was saying, it was not just a walk into the bush, but it was very intentional and very purposeful. It's something that my spirit has been wanting to do for a long time. And yes, when I went there and I spent some days there, the more I spend my time there, the more actually I think I belong there. Because for once, I begin to eat less. You know, I have 1 meal a day. I have a chance of eating the herbs, eating the wild fruits, and very little cooking. And most of the time is learning, it's asking questions, and the night falls to dead silence. And you can hear the sounds of the forests, the owls, the foxes, and it is peaceful. And of course, there is also a lacking sense of danger because when you walk into some of these caves, you can still see the peeled off skins of snakes like pythons and mambas and cobras, and you can see that you're not alone in this cave. There are other people or other animals or other reptiles that are living here. Then you ask the people around, how do you access those spaces? Then they show you what things you must burn and incenses and other herbs and fires that you can make up to keep some of these animals and insects away from you. So yes, it's not just an adventure; it is quite a dangerous. Or you're living in a space and a sense of great danger. Like the other one you showed me when I was lying down, those caves that I went to visit in Tanzania. That's in Tanzania. They are 25 kilometers deep. 25 kilometers deep. And that cave is a heaven. I don't know how many thousands or millions of bats that live in that cave. Now the good news is that the local people go there and they sweep the floors of those caves, and then they have tons and tons of manure. And this manure, you mix it with your normal manure. That manure has got bacteria. It can also be used as an insecticide and very, very fertile manure. One of the best manures you can find in the world. It is actually bat manure. I think they call it guanawa, something like that. You can Google it around bat manure. And once you use that manure, no pesticides and insecticides is necessary because the manure itself actually has all those nutrients and pesticides. Now, when you begin to walk into these mountains, it's also an agricultural adventure. There you are, and there I was learning of the importance of bat manure and how actually there could be a solution to some of our pesticides and all these GMO foods that we are being forced to eat because of the pesticides that they are using for the crops. And yet the solutions to some of those problems are actually found in the caves, which we are avoiding to go to. So yeah, I think I'll take more time. I'll take more time to visit the deserts and visit the other caves wherever I go, whichever country I go. If they don't have a mountain, I'll find a river. If they don't have a river, I'll find a forest. If they don't have a forest, I'll find a cave. If they don't have a cave, I'll find a bush. I'll find a baobab tree. But I feel every African must not just live in Africa without experiencing the depth, the beauty, the expanse, the energy, the air, the herbs of the African continent. I thank you. Are you there?
Thank you also. And yes, like I said, it's just, I don't know what is happening. But we are fine. We can hear you, and we saw the pictures, and it's what just a lesson for all of us to say, particularly our children. If you really actually don't go back, we don't take them back into these spaces, we would never rewrite our history anymore, because
Mm.
this history has been hijacked. We know it as no other person. And sometimes when we talk about only writing our history, we're only thinking about, they call it times, but we don't think actually like this is exactly what they stole from us, the traditional African social system and lifestyle,
Yeah,
governance, and way of doing
many, many,
things.
many people, many
This is
people thought
exactly
to.
what was stolen from us at its highest. And these things are here. They never took it. And I think one of the biggest distraction, my king, I'm just piling up because I have to disappear to allow you to continue with the lectures. I think us being on the screen together even makes it even more worse. What I'm trying to say is, do you think we keep fighting about minerals, about cobalt, coltan, gold, diamond, silver, this and that? It isn't that a distraction, because exactly what we are having on the ground, these discoveries and getting back into ourselves, is exactly the place we're supposed to be. Am I correct?
The war, the war is taking place at various levels. It's important for us to talk about our resources, our gold and our cobalt and etc. That is the economic war. That is the commercial side of the war. It's okay for us to keep on fighting about banks and insurance. That's important. It's okay for us to fight about herbs and etc. The pharmaceutical war. It's okay for us to fight about education. That's the academic war. But I think also we need to understand and fight what I might want to call the cultural war. How do we connect ourselves with our sacred spaces? How do we walk back to our mountains and experience some of these things? Many people thought that we were just talking for the sake of talking, that we must find ourselves. African child, find yourselves, know who you are, know where you come from. Beautiful as those words might sound. But then I woke up one morning and I said, okay, enough talking, enough talking. Let me start walking backwards and let me find out exactly what is it that I have lost. And people, some of the people who had agreed with me that we need to find our roots, all of a sudden found themselves not very comfortable, because walking back meant reducing some of the overextension of the Western modern way of doing things. I mean, I even got pricked by a thorn the other day while I was walking in the bush there, and to having to sit down again and take another thorn and put another use and pull this one out. Painful as it was, but what an experience. And you're learning how to remove a thorn by using the same thorn that pricked you, use another one to remove the one that has no pricked you. And I'm looking at I'm getting lots of answers to some of the questions that I'm always asked on this platform. Hey, Maponga, why are you using a cell phone? Why are you still quoting the Bible? Why are you, dressed up in white men's clothes? Why are you this? Why are you this? And right when I was removing that thorn, I got an answer. You can remove a thorn by using a thorn. So yes, I will use a cell phone to fix the problems that the cell phone is bringing. I'll use the Bible to fix the problems that the Bible has brought to us. I'll use the same technologies and the same sciences that has colonized us and fix the very same thing that has been destroyed. So for me, the talking could be exciting and interesting, but I don't think many of us are prepared to start doing as of literally start constructing. And we'll be able to say the two homesteads are now at an advanced stage in terms of constructing. The one I was born at, some of you might have seen some pictures about a year or so ago. We've put some few structures there. But I got another one here in Harare, just outside of Harare, where we've already started to build a sanctuary that will include a temple, indigenous herbs, traditional roundabouts. We dug a natural well with our own hands. We found water, I think about 15, 20 meters under the ground, and we cut the grass on the place. We've started patching up and fixing up and creating places where drums can be played, cassava can be planted. Want to do traditional massages inside the ant hills and stuff. Beautiful ideas which we're already implementing. And so far, I think we've planted close to about 250 fruit trees, inclusive to peaches, to pawpaws, to grapes, to avocados, to and other. So every time I travel around the world, particularly in Africa here, I always pick up seeds from from other countries, and I bring them up with me in Zimbabwe. I try to germinate some of them so that at least I could have a farm, a fully functional indigenous functioning farm where fruits, vegetables, and organic healing. I may even allocate maybe a hectare or two, which we are going to convert into herbal plantation for as many herbs as I can find on the continent and in Zimbabwe in particular for weather patterns, which can grow properly there so that our bush can become our pharmaceutical, our land can become our entertainment. We create houses, and the bricks that I used on the project, I'm using at the project here in Harare, Beatrice. I looked for an ant hill. We beat up the mud in the ant hill. We bent the bricks, and we're using the organic indigenous way of making houses using organic bricks to do that. That's all I'm trying to do, is to use as much as possible of what is available and the knowledge that I have received and see if I could create another civilization. And lastly, when you walk up to these mountains like I do, I wish the young people, the film industry people, the artists and creatives can walk with me because man, you have never seen such beauty. Sometimes we think that we're in studios and we always try to make our studios look like European studios and stuff like that. But I tell you that nature gives you cathedrals and studios that you can never imagine in terms of design and innovation, creativity, and just to be able to be inspired to do things differently. I mean, you could take a picture or two of some of those caves and some of those stages that I had to look at. I'll send you few more pictures, and you can come around in your studio and try and recreate some of that stuff there. And I think and I hope some of it can make its way to designs, the way we design our homes, the way we design our living spaces, and get some of these memories, and get some of these sights, and get some of these pictures into our living rooms and into our modernity, so that the forests, the mountains, and the rivers become a source of our inspiration in terms of our design and living around our spaces. So it's quite exciting. It's quite exciting. And those who have not yet taken it seriously, I would like to challenge you wherever you are. Try and find some tour guides, try and look into those mountains, climb up those mountains, walk up those rivers, but just know as you are doing that, that you are entering other spaces and other sacred spaces. A good attitude and a clean heart and respect of the environments that you are walking in would be your passport for safety. And as some of them are still quite sacred, and they still hold some mysteries around them, and you don't want to become an experiment for those mysteries. Just obey the elder people that you go with, and they tell you, here you do it like this, here you do it like this. Just do it as they do, and avoid trying to become the clever black from the educational institutions, who undermines what you find on the ground because you don't believe in superstition, you don't believe in that, you don't believe in that. We have lots of stories, hundreds of stories of people who entered caves, who entered mountains, who entered rivers, and they were not ready and welcomed into those spaces, and they did not make it back. So, between me and you, as a word of caution, we have a tour guide that you travel with. Try to be as respectful as possible and listen to them. They know more than you do. And for your safety, it would be better to comply with some of those spaces so that at least you can go there for a beautiful educational experience, and you can come back alive and we having learned a thing or two. So, yeah, it's important. I wish our school trips would be done here. I wish our African movies could be shot in some of these places and spaces so that they can have that authentic, organic, truthful feel, look, and feel, and for our children to learn our authentic African culture. I thank you.
Thank you very much, King Maponga. It's and one thing that I notice, honestly, like you're literally more calm. Your spirit is more at peace. Like you're certain. You see, it's like when we go away from these political maneuvers, struggling to justify to fight, always saying we are fighting, always saying we are at war, always using those kind of things that definitely are disgusting to our spirit. But you that I see and you that I've listened to a couple of times, I mean, you're somebody else. It's like you went to the mountains and you've been beaten by the elders and say, now you're finally home. And it's quite interesting what I'm bringing because even me, I was on the continent and I spent my time in the wood and I spent my time in the rivers. I spent my time in the village. And it's different. It's absolutely different. You come back, you are sudden, you're sure. There's this anger that we used to have, even the way we used to speak on Pan African Daily, like we were really like, and even terms that words that we use, oh no, we are at war, or it is either this or this, and that. I mean, do you feel it, or am I just saying? Because it's so humbling, even your position, the way you sit, your face, you look relaxed, you look younger. Like, you arrived. You arrived, my king. Tell me. I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
tell me
it,
how you went about this whole thing. It's humbling, isn't it?
yeah, it's true. It's true because I think I was eating healthier foods. I was eating less. I was walking quite a lot, up and down, and so exercising is right. I was exercising. I was walking. I was drinking clean water. I had no stress. My phone was off, and my stress levels calmed down quite a bit. So yes, you're right. I am much more relaxed, but I am much more resolute. My spirit is as strong as ever, but I think I've also toned down a bit the bush has grown into me and squeezed me to crystallize some of the frustrations that I had, and begin to formulate within my mind a more resolute way of dealing with things. And I went to the forest also. I went for myself to say, can I start listening? Because I'd been talking from it was early as 2008, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14 to 24, almost. I've been talking for about 20 years and making lots of noises and fighting, as you are saying, you know, battle and etc. And I felt I was getting consumed, and this anger thing was and I think at the peak of it, I was almost getting become militant, and I was thinking I should actually join one of the armies and begin to do the physical fighting itself, and which. But in the midst of doing that, you also need to have the strategic mindset to calculate the risk and think clearly. So I stepped back so that I could crystallize my thinking. And in the back of my head, this whole theological conundrum and religious dogmas that were threatening and my head space. Sometimes when you think too much, you can feel like you're losing your mind because you keep on asking questions and you ask questions, and some of them you find answers, some of them you can't find answers. And maybe some of the questions that I've asked, I may never be able to get answers to those questions. But even if I don't get answers to those questions, I need to find myself at calm with myself. I need to find my locus of control. I need to find my space of satisfaction with the little knowledge that I have, and be at peace that maybe I'll never understand everything. And maybe there's no one out there who will be able to come here and give me the answers that I want. Maybe the answers are here. Maybe the answers are over there. So walking around these spaces and walking around these sacred spaces, reconnecting with ancestral memories and listening to the echoes of the mountains and listening to the sounds of silence in the midst of darkness in the caves, and retouching trees, flowers, herbs, and stones and soil. And yes, you're right. I think I'm a better person. I'm a better person coming down from these mountains than before I went there. I went up not knowing what I was looking for, but if people can see that there has been a definite change, I think it was worth a while. And as I had said the other year, if you remember, I have always been threatening people that I'll talk, I'll talk, I'll talk. And one day, sooner or later, I might just take a vow of silence and disappear into the mountains for some time. But I thought maybe before I go for a long time, it would be okay for me just to step back, step in, and step back and share the experiences, almost to tell the young people it can be done. It can be done. You can go to the river and come back. You can go to the forest and come back. You can go to the mountain and come back. You can go learn and come back. And you leave some of us who are now pursuing a more vigorous spiritual journey. We may want to go a step further and exclude ourselves from civilization for some time and actually re-engineer the vision itself for a cultural expert, an indigenous cultural person who literally would have unplugged off from the matrix and living purely on organic space. And I think that when that time comes, I should find myself ready. For now, it's a little bit of exercising or stretching my hands. And if you can see, I'm already starting to prepare my clothes, making my skins and etc., modernizing them a little bit here and there so that they are comfortable. But I'm already beginning to have fun while I'm doing it. Clothes, skin, clothes, and why am I putting on a skirt? Yes, so that the human anatomy can breathe and other things. These are the things that are causing prostate cancer and what and what. And as you learn, you learn, you implement, plastic clothes have a problem. So what must you use? Use organic and which kind of material? So it's a learning experience. We've lost quite a bit. We've lost quite a bit. And I think this journey for me, it's a realignment, it's a remembering, it's a reorientation, a recalibration, a refamiliarizing, and quite exciting, I should say, an experience that I wish every educated person who's got time, and please make some time and give yourself time to experience time. I thank you.
You wrote the book. This is one of the first books that now we still dealing with. We still have a lot to deal with, finding your truth. And I think most of the times we do things and then cut in those things, and then we have to go to get the experience of the same things that we wrote. You wrote your life, and then before experiencing it yourself, like like teachers of in the future bring something and then go through those same thing themselves. You put, if you look at your book, Find Your Truth, and you look at you now, if you have to rewrite that book again, my king, definitely it will be another volume two of that book, because actually I think went back into self and experience the truth within you, even from that we were. So I'm expecting part two should have to come from that Find Your Truth, and it definitely will redirect us and in this space. But one thing that we are learning, and I can see everybody actually aligning with it, is at some point in time we have to retreat. Spaces have been, even the word retreat has been a joke. Actually, this kind of retreat, people organize or pilgrimage and just go for something else. I think when your body reach that point where it tells you you have to retreat, the sound tells you mother is calling, nature is calling, go back, and directs you into that space. I begin to think that that connection that we say we're truly spiritual is not of human making. It's actually, it is the way we're pulled back, to reassess ourselves, to reorganize ourselves, to put to detox ourselves. I mean, I can imagine, I feel the peace right from here, the serenity, the tranquility. Even your, like I said, even your posture, you're more secured, you're more comfortable. And so the question is, while we're looking for the quest of building this new Africa, the energy that we put might be contrary. We are more kind of, we think something, but we act differently depending the time and space. And I think this is a new learning, like we said, coming back on the Pan African Daily, back, most of us are beginning to speak differently. We are more calm, we are more secured, we are more balanced, we are more organized. Like we're really fulfilled. We have burned out the frustration, the thoughts of the past. We've actually had to deal with it. We have been able to face our own a comic or our own karma in one way or the other. We've been able to do a cleansing of ourselves. And I think this is the right step that we're moving in the next direction. Um, I just want to remind our guests and even you. I had a call from Professor James Small, and it's the same experience he made. He actually is in Ghana. He went to Ghana. He's in Ghana. I think he's back home now. We'll be having him on the show next week. It's the same experiences he did. He said, I have to come back to the show and we take it to another level because the anger, the frustration, the pain, the traumas have been destroyed. Even the way I used to speak on Pan African Daily, I'm different now. I'm more calm. I'm more relaxed. I'm more confident. I'm more secure. Even when we used to talk about our ancestors, we didn't even really believe. But right now, going through also all the challenges that we've gone through, it brings all of us to this part. So I'm throwing it back to you and the audience, and it's a personal self-development. It's a personal self-assessment. I can remember you went even, to the men's conference. We tried to mobilize the men, kind of fix everything that was. Yes, at that stage, now you metamorphose now, went back into the place of listening. And that's a very important part in our lives, to just listen. Sometimes don't just say anything and just listen, but listening from what and listening to who. So I truly thank you. And it's you're actually reflecting, giving me back the energy that I'm reproducing all here in the spirit of oneness, in the spirit of true love, in the spirit of humility. Humility is that word. I love what you say. When we're going for the excursions, don't think you know too much. Don't complain. Just listen, because everybody is a master in his own art. You can think you're going to give some few pennies to those that take you around, and you look at them as you're creating them jobs. But of course, as a matter of fact, they are actually helping us and bringing us back to that nature. When we go back to the continent, we look at those, we think, oh, they are less privileged, they are poor. But honestly speaking, when you are truly Pan African, like rebirth, you envy them. I envy them because I envy them. I see the tranquility, the less burden that they have to work with, carrying all the knowledge, and the field of the knowledge is a whole lot of burden. And when we go sometimes and we leave those burdens and we look at those that we consider as the privilege, honestly speaking, they become the richest in our lives. That's how much humble we need to go, right down to the street, to the mountains, to the valleys, to the hills, to the communities, and never look at one child and say, he's hungry because I need to give him a penny. That's a reflection of yourself. You're so ignorant until that is only all we can see. So I think this project, this new beginning, you started it where we are today. The new breath of people that are coming here. The next step that we're moving through Pan African Daily. I don't know how long we're going to be here doing this, but I think this next session is coming with another kind of spirit of humility, and to really look deeply into our knowledge of thinking we know sometimes, and pull back to say, I know nothing. I just want to listen. My king, was it yeah, over to you.
I think the tourism. I love the word that you used there. The word of retreat.
My king.
Tourism.
Was it yeah, over to you.
Yes, I think you used a very beautiful word there. The word called retreat. And tourism and holiday making is such a big business. Unfortunately, it is big colonial business. We go on holidays to Dubai, we go on holidays to England, we go on holidays to Disneyland, we go on holiday to Eiffel Towers, and we still come back. We still come back stressed because when we go on these holidays, it's all about swiping our credit cards, buying more junk, eating more junk, and sleeping on the same beds, drinking same water, eating same food, watching the same TV, same stories from CNN in Cameroon, you're watching CNN in Dubai. What difference does it make? That kind of holiday making stresses you. And some of us go for these holidays on monies that we can't even afford. We borrow money to go on holidays. And we come back and we need to start paying back some of those debts that we will have created. I would not call these holidays. I think these are terrible torture chambers which have ribbons of holidays on them. A pure holiday would be to go back to your village, uh, buy as little as possible from your town, go back home, sit down, and let your money work in the community that you're coming from. Take off your shoes and slow down, switch off, log out, and breathe the natural air. Sleep under the sun, sleep under the stars, reconnect yourself. So we cannot always be thinking about holidays, and the first thing that comes to your mind is your credit card and how much you're going to spend on the holiday. Maybe a real holiday, you might need not to spend anything much on the holiday, except to spend your time and give yourself over into spaces that will allow you to do a full emotional, mental, psychological, physical reorientation into factory settings. So I truly believe that many of us think we are on holiday, but there are more divorces that have happened on holidays. There are more deaths that have been created on holidays, and the stress levels can even shoot higher while you're on holiday because these holidays are not designed to give your mind peace but to allow you to spend more money in different spaces. So I'm also looking for what I might want to call organic holidays or spiritual tourism or grounding or something, but find a different name for it. It can't be a holiday when you are going to be sleeping in a hotel, sleeping in a bubble bath, getting a massage, and getting into a square swimming pool and eating your caviar and your lobsters. And then you say, I was on holiday. There must be a better way of giving your break. Give your wallet a holiday. Give your phone a holiday. Give your brain a holiday. Give your eyes a holiday. Give your ears a holiday. And give your feet a holiday away from the shoes. Give your wallet a holiday. Give your phone a holiday. Give your brain a holiday. Give your eyes a holiday. Give your ears a holiday. And give your feet a holiday away from the shoes. Give your wallet a holiday. Give your phone a holiday. Give your brain a holiday. Give your eyes a holiday. Give your ears a holiday. And give your feet a holiday away from the shoes. Your wallet a holiday. Your phone a holiday. Your brain a holiday. Give your eyes a holiday. Give your ears a holiday.
I'm sorry. Yes, my phone is louder because that's the only way I can hear my king for now, and so I could be able to pick up the stuff. So I think getting this rebirth and getting into the self consciousness is a personal thing. It's not a collective thing. We've been for so long being collected, being collective. And then the second thing I'm hearing and I'm learning from what you're saying is teaching. We have been taught that somebody has to tell you to do something, and that has actually limited us from self discovery. And we keep talking about the knowledge of self, but the knowledge of self is also taught to us in different formats. It's an orientation. I think this is the era where we have to face ourselves, our demon, or our gods. Like you said, I put my mirror, then I look at the mirror. And I think I love this kind of experiences. Yes, we listen, we relate a lot, but we have to go. If you have not been doing it, go back to just doing it. Try it. There's a lot of detoxing to do, a lot of learning to do. And that's why even the new spirit of we talking about this freedom. Freedom actually is when you can be able to determine for yourself what you want. So the political freedom that we keep asking to be given to us is actually another trick. Nobody can give you freedom. Nobody. And I think they enjoy the game. They've enjoyed that this ping pong, like they provoke us, and when they know I want my freedom, you have to give me your freedom. It's crazy. Who can give you freedom? This is a clear example. You went to the mountains, you rejuvenated, you made contacts and stuff. I don't think you had to get any visa to do that or to ask permission from any government to do that. It was a freedom. The freedom is you and within you. So I think we've been chasing, yes, speaking or debating on things that others do is totally different from us being free, because the freedom that we want can be given only when you yourself free yourself from knowing what freedom is. And I think this is the lesson that we're listening from you, my king, and it's so soothing. It's so beautiful. And we know you. Everybody knows you, King Maponga Joshua. Everybody knows all the facets, like you say, starting from 2018 or speaking, no, even before 2018. You're the bishop, the most renowned bishop that everybody know. In your younger age, you shared your pictures sometimes, but some of us who actually want to dig know went into really to find out about you, and we saw some of the things that you've been, and then you're sitting here right now with this like a snake that has just been peeled off in its his tranquility, in its quietness. It's so inspiring. I'm telling you, it's so soothing to us to see you, to watch you,
Mm,
to feel you. And I think you know the role you play in terms of spirituality. I mean, our connectivity, our love, and everything. I think you're also very conscious of the thousands and thousands of followers that are modeling after you. And so this responsibility also. I know the three of your platforms that I manage, no single platform is more than 100,000. It's a whole burden. Sometimes we look for these things and, oh no, I want to get million followers. Come on, give me a break. Sometimes I think, are you crazy? Million followers? Do you know what you're talking about? What going to do with million followers, for God's sake? That's too much responsibility, too much work, too much carrying million energies that at some point in time you yourself would go down the drain. That's a fact. You cannot carry much. But I can relate when you do post and the people that are modeling you, you are consciously addressing those issues, and somewhere you cannot address. One of the most in you, King Maponga, whether my audience or the community have noticed that way you respond.
Mm.
That one renown, and then going back to find the truth for yourself. Personalities more than in one. The church one bishop that they used to know that are put the upper skies. People knew Renaissance birth. You to get that into the living, and we're breaking of the kings and everything because they want set that you have. The government leaders because they listen, even though it sounds like a romance in their ears, but they are sense. You say they know they can.
Initially, the the target was to challenge the political system outright and try and incite a revolution of some sort so that we can push the political leaders out of space and have a new sort of leadership regime that comes in that can begin to listen to the pain and the issues of the community. However, pursuing that path proved to be very detrimental because getting people out of power is not as difficult as getting the right people to replace those that you have taken out of power. So the next step was to stop being militant and rather be actively involved in the developmental stage of training and developing a new caliber of young people who would be sensitive to the pain of the past, sensitive to the pain of the present, and be sensitive to designing a future for their own children. So I had to walk a few steps backwards and say, how do we, as African elders, begin to retrace our training to allow young people to access certain software of data that will make them relevant politicians within the new dispensation. So maybe the old politicians, uh, as complicated as the relationships could be, but maybe it's not such a good idea just to get them out for the sake of getting them out. When in fact the young people that we have are still coming in there with the same appetite, same attitude, in some certain cases, even worse attitudes. You are now bringing young people who don't even know themselves, know their names, know their ancestors, know their fathers, the Holy Ghost, tongue speaking, and etc. And all they think that when they get into political office, they're going to close down all the traditional people and they will declare a country as belonging to Jesus and run a Pentecostal crusade or an evangelical crusade and win the whole country for Jesus. And then you look at this kind of mindset and say, maybe in as much as the political environment is frustrating, but the quality of our young people is not good enough, educated enough, progressive enough to be able to encapsulate, harvest, and implement a transformative agenda, which will then become sensitive to indigeneity, contextualization, and an Afrocentric interpretation of our worldview and types of functions that we must have. So education is very, very important in the midst of us finding. So finding your truth is not just finding your truth as an individual; it's finding your truth as a family, finding your truth as a political system, finding your truth as political parties. We all need to be in the business of finding that truth. Therefore, truth does not remain locked up in the religious organizations. It must transform itself into our politics, into our pharmaceuticals, into our young people, so that in the midst of us crying for a revolution, we replace the old political uh, watchdogs with an informed, progressive, educated, Afrocentric, sensitive young people who will then get into power with a true appreciation of our scars of war, a true appreciation of our problems in the present, and a clear focus as to where is the way forward for Africans. Because if we are not careful, we are going to get young people who have been educated by our enemies, and when they get and sit amongst us, they will convert the same system into the abyss of what we are running away from. I thank you.
Much. I think we have to discontinue the show, and we come back to you. King, could you check your calendar, and we are going to get in touch again on Saturday to check program that we can move to another level what we've highlighted, and
Yeah, you,
being
you drop me a
with
text.
you. And I think
Drop.
it's just time that so checking program, is it possible Saturday? So we already can just be certain here. Saturday, is it okay?
We just agree
Wonderful.
on the
So we're going to
time.
carry on this conversation Saturday, 9 p.m. Is that okay? 9 p.m. South Africa?
That's
Wonderful.
why.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. To you, my king.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we're going to have a very hectic day on TV. Tomorrow is going to be an exciting day for us. And Mahulbi and Mahulbi Kingdom is going to be and the whole Council of Elders. We have an issue going on, the issue of land in South Africa. And before we M the with the king Langalibalele of the Lubi kingdom in South Africa, which is a kingdom that from where all the other Zulu kingdoms, were constituted. And this kingdom, the government or the British systems during the colonial session wanted to actually eradicate this kingdom, not just the land, the culture, the traditions, and everything. So tomorrow, 6 p.m. But please make sure you tune in because we're starting a series with the you don't wonder why all these things are playing us around. It's just because this is the right time. The truth that we've been seeking steps, and it shall come in different formats and different versions. All the quest that we've been looking for is right now. So join us tomorrow, and I have Princess Kingdom with us, Miranda Libala. She's watching us right now, and the King also. We're very sorry for everything that has happened. When we say we're sorry, it's not because it's beyond our control. This is one of the opening, the cleansing of the house, as you can see, and so don't wonder what everything that has been unfolding here. Tomorrow, join us 6 p.m. South African time. That should be 12 p.m. Um, yes, Eastern Standard Time. And then after the conversation, earlier, we might even start about 5 or 4 because I think they're coming with a whole royal House of Representative, and we're going to introduce first the session that will be taking place on Friday, the first court hearing. But then we're going to start a series with the kingdom to understand the history and the origins of this kingdom, because all this traditional setup and kingdoms that we've all been disconnected from due to colonialism, due to, I don't know what, enslavement, stolen land, stolen traditions, stolen culture. But they never left because the Royal Highness and his team, they decided, and they were always on it up till now. And for 50 or 60 years, this is the ever, this is the first ever hearing that is going to take place on Friday in the courts of Pretoria, South Africa. We're looking forward to that. So please join me tomorrow. We will just share. I mean, you all have subscribed. So make sure that when you see us come live, we're coming live with a whole kingdom and the blessings from His Royal Highness. I want to thank this kingdom for actually coming out to say, it is time we have to get back our land. All of us want to go back home. Where are we going to stay if we don't talk about land, if we don't have land? Are we going to go and be tenants from Chinese institutions or residences that they've taken our land and they're building on? Are we going to be land tenants in our own kingdom? No. So I think it's very important that we start to learn this history. And this history, we will begin to actually share it with our children, with our children's children, like it's the beginning of wisdom, the beginning of knowledge. This is the king that is coming. I hear somebody asking, King Langali Balele from the Lubi kingdom in South Africa. This is the long-serving king who we know was even on the Robben Islands. So there's a lot of hidden the truths that they're going to uncover with us. So it's just the beginning, but it's never going to end. It's not a one-time series that we're doing, but His Royal House and would actually guide us into the processes where we find ourselves today. And you see, That was the opening of this chapter when King Maponga came and was trying to relocate us to landscapes, to properties and stuff like that in a very spiritual way. And that's what is going to happen and is irreversible. Count yourself lucky, blessed, chosen for being in this time now. Count yourself, I mean, really the overcomers, like we say, the chosen ones, like being in this moment right now is, I don't know how I can say, as I don't know whether to say blessings is enough, but please join me tomorrow. Set your alarms on 12:12 for the spirit of Ubuntu to always connect us and remind us who we are. And make sure you are conscious. Drink a lot of water all the time. Whether you feel backache or pain or something, retreat back to nature. Find yourself on one, reconnect and cleanse from within. Before we save the continent, we need to save ourselves as individuals first and be ready to rejoice and get what belongs to us anyway. So thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow. So we have 2 programs going on live tomorrow, and I think even 3 because I'm invited on a radio show to talk to young people in. We're going to share the link with you so you can follow the show as well. If it is not possible that we're going to get you follow the show live, Patrick is already setting up to get connected so we can get the link and then we stream the audio or it live with you. That's the first program, and that's going to take place in the afternoons. Secondly, we're going to host this whole kingdom that is coming to us to bless us and connect us to our roots originally. The third program we're going to have is the economic future of Africa with Professor Kelly. Professor, wait, let me see if I have the banner here. Oh, okay. Nothing is loading. All right, no problem. Professor Kelly Moore, who would be with us here. Let me see if I could get his flyer. Yes. So I just have to share it with us quickly, and so that when you see it tomorrow, you just know that's what is coming on. And this is going to be our 9 o'clock program. So we have 3 um, big programs coming live tomorrow. 2 from Pan African Daily TV Main. It's our guest for tomorrow, and yeah. So the topic is going to concern, let me see, the Africa's economic future. And everything has to do with our land and resources as well, but also with the modern Africa, a mindset on the continent of infrastructures, of money itself. And so this is going to be the next show tomorrow. So our tomorrow is actually a compact one. We look forward to pull it. And then Thursday, we're also going to have, I think, 2 shows as well. And yeah, that's how our shows are going to be running and selling out so fast here on Pan African Daily. So thank you very much, family. We know what time it is, and we know how to protect ourselves. We know what to do at the right time. Professor Baina Bello teaches us all the time, and she said, this is the right time, and we're experiencing all this stuff. So we're going to see us tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm trying to. Yes, thank you. We see us tomorrow. Please just put on your notification bells because we're not sure again if we distribute our flyers and our flyers are sent. So thank you. Good night to all of you. I cannot even load our closing banner, so just bear with me. And we see us tomorrow with the whole kingdom coming to us to bless us as we bless them. Good night to all of you.